Like Mitchell, or you can be like Reynolds and Skiffle. Give it a Johnston and he'll get triple. Pass it to Cleary, you know he'll run the pitch. Score points like Jabojevic. I'm game day fit, no need to switch. Cooking up like Cookie Man's in the kitchen. Who's that on the wing? It's Sivo. Score, try and do the Guffrino. Don't get too rowdy or too keen, or you'll end up like Hasentino. Get a 40-20 like BCE. Run the ball like hectic cheese. Support runner, that's Pappenhausen. But I still got Teddy at the SCG.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Final Siren podcast. We've got a tier ranking video coming to you today, but firstly, we'd just like to say we're sorry for the time off. We've all had things going on in our personal lives, like I'm still in school, Davos is still in school. I'm not even sure what Faraz does, to be completely honest. Sorry, Faraz. Lockie's got work on. We all have mental things as well that we're dealing with, but Davos, I know you were keen to quickly talk about, before we begin, you were keen to talk about what you're doing for pretty much Movember, but with a bit of a twist. Would you like to explain it to us?
Yep, so I'll be running 60 kilometers over the course of November. A sad fact is that 60 men across the world die an hour due to suicide, and for that I'll be running 60 Ks as well as going out on my most. So there's a link in my bio, my Instagram bio, TikTok bio. If you want to donate anything, any donations will be greatly appreciated.
Well said. Sounds like a good cause. Personally, I would have participated in November, except for the fact that I look terrible if I shave my mustache and start again. We've got a tier ranking video here. We haven't done this before. We've separated into backlines, halves, and also forward packs. And we may do a bench. We're not too haven't really talked about the idea too much yet. But I think, boys, we'll direct ourselves over to the tier lists here. So the criteria is elite, which is S tier, great, which is A tier, good, which is B tier, bad, which is C tier, and terrible, which is D tier. I'm hoping there's not too many D tiers in this ranking video, but I think we'll start off with the Broncos, boys. Obviously, we're all Broncos fans. We've gone in the alphabetical order of obviously the place they have stayed at, which is Brisbane Broncos, Canberra Rays, etc. Boys, the Broncos were Tamari Martin, Corey Oates, Katoni Staggs, Herbie Farmworth, and Selwyn Cobbo. I'll go through to each of you, and we'll end up deciding on a rank in the end. Where did you have each of the where did you have the Broncos finishing in? Which criteria is that? We'll start with Faraz.
I'd probably have to say good because of the way they collapsed, but I think when Tamari Martin was named that fullback, that's when they started their charge and assault. I think they definitely missed Herbie Farmworth and all that, but the likes of Selwyn Cobbo and Corey Oates on the wings, probably the best winging combo all year. But yeah, Katoni Staggs, he had an off year, so they lose points for that. But just generally, it's a young, exciting spine, and I can't wait to see what that spine does next year with Herbie Farmworth and Reece Walsh at the back. But yeah, look, I have to give it good. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't too great at the same time.
Yeah, definitely. Either of you can go next, Lockie or Davos.
Going off paper, you probably, for me, looking at the back line on paper, you probably nearly go elite, being the names that are in there. But I think going off the year they've just had, you would probably have to go with Farad as well and put them in good, just considering of where they finished, and a few players were a bit hot and cold. Like Tamari Martin was a bit hot and cold at stages. Staggs didn't have a great year. Cobbo and Oates were pretty consistent all year, and Farmworth got injured as well. So you probably have to put them in good.
Yeah, I agree. Davos.
Yeah, I agree with Lockie. On paper, they look really strong, the Broncos backline. But the way that they kind of collapse at the end, Oates and Cobbo were probably my two standouts, and Tamari Martin was very consistent when he was there. So I'll give him a B.
Yeah, I'm gonna say B as well. I'm gonna go good. I feel like it's just sort of it's a middle of the road sort of ranking, and I think we've all gone B. So the Broncos, they'll finish off with a B grade backline. And boys, the Raiders next. The players in there are Xavier Savage, Nick Cottridge, Sebastian Chris, Matthew Tomoko, and Jordan Rapinoe. By the way, Obviously, each team changes their backline over the course of a year. We've just gone with who we think were not only most influential there, but also play the most games as a team. And I feel like each of these has sort of had that in them. So, boys, Raiders. Where would you place their backline based on this year? Any of you can go.
Yeah, I'll let Lucky or someone go first.
Going off this year, I'll probably have to go Raiders good as well. They weren't great, but they weren't bad. They were just in the middle of about all year. Xavier Savage is a young kid on the scene. Tomoko, he's had a great. I think was this his first year as a whole year.
I think starting right here.
Yeah, Sebastian Chris was in and out of the side. Nick Kotrick was a bit quiet, but Jordan Rapana was definitely X factor for them this year. So I'll probably have to put him with the Broncos, to be honest, at good.
Either of you two, Faraz or Davos?
Yeah, I'll go first. Yeah, just like Brisbane, pretty much had the same season, except they had made the A. But they definitely had their moments, especially when they clicked. They were on song to watch. Jordan Rapana had a bit of a lean year, I'd say, but the centre pairings for the Canberra Raiders were really good. Sebastian Krish had his moments. Xavier Savage at the back was really good for the Raiders as well. Like he definitely shone, and he's the next big thing, I feel. Yeah, so look, I have to give it a good, but he definitely has talent to go even further.
Yeah, I agree. Davos, what about you?
Yeah, I'd have to give the Raiders a similar grade to the Broncos and put them in good. I thought Xavier Savage had a really good year. He's definitely one to look out for. I feel like they were a bit consistent as well with their backline. Like they didn't chop and change that much, but yeah, I definitely put them in good.
Yeah, I agree. We started off. So far, no disagreements on the rankings. We've all gone good. I definitely agree. They had a good year, and their backline is definitely, I think, pretty well balanced. Boys, the Bulldogs. Now, this one might get interesting. I want to see what everyone has to say here, because this one could spark a few flares here. For them, I've gone with. Sorry, I'm just trying to find that here. Jake Avarillo, Jacob Kiraz, Aaron Shop, Braden Burns, and Josh Adokar as the backline. Where would you rank that backline, boys? Any of you can go first again.
Well, this is a touchy one because, I think before Potter came in, their spine was arguably lacking a lot. I mean, the only play they had was Burton kicking it to Josh Adokar on the wing, but when Potter took over, they started scoring more points. Burton looked really good. I think the main key weapon was when Avarillo moved to fullback. They definitely had a lot of point scoring, and that took the pressure off Burton. Josh Adokar, as we know, is an elite winger, one of the best in the business. I'm actually going to give them good. I feel like they improved a lot towards the back end of the season, and whatever you say about the Bulldogs, but they could score a lot of points, and that showed. They scored 20 points a game, 26. So I think next year with William McKee on the edge and all that, I think if they keep Avarillo at fullback, fix their centers and all that, Kiraz, depending where they want to play him, Aaron Schkopp is another good player. So I think that they definitely got a lot of points in them. So I'm going to give the Bulldogs a B.
B, okay. Davos Lockie, you're up next.
I feel like you could going off this year, you could put the Bulldogs backline in great, but the thing that holds them back from great is their centers. Aaron Schott didn't have a great year, and Braden Burns was quiet as well. If you look at the other three, like Kiraz, he was insane this year. Adokar was consistent as always. Avarillo had an absolute blinder this year, but then you look at Braden Burns, he sort of gave nothing, and you look at Aaron Schott, and he wasn't his same as well. So you probably have to put him with Broncos and Raiders as well in good for me as well for them.
What about you, Davos?
This is probably the trickiest one we've had. Yeah, I'm gonna agree with the boys here and put them in good. I feel like Karaz, I mean, what a way to come in and debut, and he definitely asserted himself and locked down a place. Josh Adokar, you don't have to say much about him, just super consistent. Avarillo's a future gun. But yeah, I just feel like they don't have that one absolute star besides Josh Adokar that'll take him
to the great. So I'm going to put him in good.
Yeah, I thought. See, for me, I'm between good and great. Like I feel like Lachlan said, I think they have. I think they have the players to be a great side, but it doesn't matter what I say anyway. It's going to be good. I'll go with good as well. I think we'll keep that record. We have
Can
not
I,
disagreed
can I
on
just
one
ask
yet.
one thing though? Is that like, how are we considering the Bulldogs to be great though? Like we're basically contending them to be over the Broncos and Raiders. Can I just ask why?
The
Or is that
backline,
just-
backline
Oh.
wise, yeah. Backline wise, definitely. I think they had a better season, but especially Josh Adokar, he mainly he's what makes me think.
He was fairly quiet at the start though.
He was quite
and
at
that
the
cost him his
start.
origin spot.
Next
Very
year,
true.
it's going to be very interesting if Adokar gets to his very best again with Burton,
Yeah.
Kickout, Reed, Marnie.
Mm.
Honestly,
Like
I
next
hope he
year,
does. I really hope he
know
does.
I know there was a lot of hype on him this year, but I think next year Bulldogs aren't a team to take lightly.
yeah.
Oh,
I-
definitely,
I'm
definitely.
I'm making it a bold call now. I reckon next year, Adokar's going to be back in the New South Wales squad, and Burton's going
He
to
should.
Burton's going to be at 6.
He should have been this year, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but mark that down. Burton and Adokar to both make the squad, and Burton to be in the 6 jumper if he performs as well as he did this year. I'm not too sure they'll break the partnership with Blue in theory though. Now, boys, Sharks. Okay, this one I have a feeling there's going to be a few disagreements on. So for the Sharks, we've gone Will Kennedy, Sione Katoa, sorry, Jesse Ramian. Then I believe we've gone. Who is the other one?
We went Talakai.
And Mulatalo, boys. This is. I feel like there's going to be some disagreements here. Any of you can start first.
Oh, yeah. Okay, you go first, Lockie.
I think for the Sharks, I'm going to have to put him in great, to be honest. Will Kennedy, he's not the best, but he's not the worst. He's still consistent. Sione Katoa, he's there and hereabouts. Jesse Ramian, he's solid in the centres. Talakai had a great year, but he did quiet off a bit. And then Mulatalo is probably their best player in that back line, to be fair. But looking at the back 5, you have to put him above the 3 clubs that we've got there, to be honest, considering the consistency around them and the strike power they've got. So probably great for me.
Yeah, that's fair. Faraz or Davos?
So this is a bit of a funny one because I did give the Sharks a bit of odd rating last time. But yeah, look, Will Kennedy, he's not like your James Tedesco or Tommy Turbo, but he does the hard work and he's consistent. Sione Katoa, I mean, he's a brilliant winger. Ronaldo's probably their best player in that spine. Always tries his guts out. Even in that semi-final loss to South Sydney, he just kept trying. I'm going to have to put them great. Really can't put them anywhere else, can you?
Davos.
Yep, I'm going to agree with the boys and put him in great. I really like their back line. It's very very consistent, and they all just do their job no matter what. There's not really much you got to say about Talakai, Kennedy, and Mulatalo, but also Ramian and Katoa, they're very consistent as well. So I really like their back line, so I'm going to give him a great.
I really thought there was going to be some disagreements here, but yet again, 4 from 4 there. We have not found one yet. I have a feeling there's going to be a bit
wow.
It's building up. It's building up,
Titans.
especially right here.
The
Okay,
Titans.
Now, this one was very hard to pick 5 players for, considering the fact they've chopped and changed it like 30 times this season alone. But we've gone Jaden Campbell, Jojo Fafita, Philip Sami, Brian Kelly, and Greg Marju. So take that a little bit.
There's no other option but bad.
Yeah, that's fair. Anyone else want to have a go at that?
Well, it's just so funny. They kept changing their team around. I mean, they had Toby Sexton as well there. Then they changed it to Tanner Boyd. Jermaine Azarko was playing wing for a while for the Titans, but yeah, it's really hard to like get a grip on the team when you keep changing your team, especially your spine. But I will say that they do have talent there. They've got a future. I don't know how far they can extend with it, but there are a few good players. Not going to lie. Jojo Fafita, exciting kid on the block. He has a lot of speed. Their fullback, Jaden Campbell, he's got a lot of talent as well, but obviously got injured a fair bit, so we got to see more of him. I've got to put it bad, like They've got talent there. I would love to see them build next year, but have to put them back. Can't really put them elsewhere.
I think for me, the man that has talent but he can't show it is Brian Kelly. I feel like if he got in a good system, he could really change the competition.
And
I
we saw
think
that
he could. I think he could be the next Tony Staggs, buddy, Justin Olam, and all them. But I feel like he's just so much. He's under so much pressure at the Titans to defend that one edge because their defense is so like there's so many holes in it that he can't show his full X factor. So I feel like Kelly. I know he's signed an extension, but for me, they just need to let him free.
Yeah, that's fair. Davos, are you going to break the streak of agreement, or what's happening here?
I'm not going to break the agreement because I agree with what I agree with what everyone has said here. Look, they've got potential, but I just don't think it's that great, to be honest. So I'm going to put them in bad.
Yep, it's not broken yet. I've agreed with everything so far. I think that just shows we know our footy.
Exactly.
Now,
Hey, look at the shape we've made. On the
we're not looking at the shape of. Oh my, yeah, we're not looking. No. But the Seagulls. Okay, I swear this one should strike up some controversy. There's no way we all put the same one here. Okay, so he's gone bad straight off the bat. I haven't even listed who they have yet, but I will do that just now. So the Seagulls. We have Ruben Garrick playing fullback just because Tommy Turbo only played 7 games this season. Jason Saab, Brad Parker, Tolu Tau, and Christian Tuipulotu. Now, boys, as Davos is just digging in, what a man. Boys, what are your thoughts on the Seagulls? Lockie, would you like to explain you saying bad, or is there really a need for explanation?
Jason Saab, who's he? Went missing. Brad Parker, that bloke shows up once every 14 weeks. Cooler, yeah, he's a young talent, but he didn't really show anything. And the only players in their backline that really did something was Ruben Garrick, who was probably their best player this year, to be honest. And Tuipulotu, he was all right, but he definitely had his fair share of off games as well. So for me, you can't put him good. You can't put him terrible. And so you'd have to go bad.
Faraz, agree or disagree with that, and where are you putting them?
Yeah, well, after Tommy Turbo left, the whole spine took a change. The only one I can really say that actually tried their guts out and was actually good was Ruben Garrick. The rest, Koala is young, so he'll get there eventually. Christian Tuipulotu was, I'd say, average. He had his off games, he had his good games. Brad Parker, yeah, liability as well. Yeah, look, not really much to say, especially when Tommy Turbo's out. Like, when he's there, that spine's a whole lot different. He carries them a lot, but yeah, just got to put them in bad.
Davos, is the streak going to be broken now, or are you agreeing with the boys again?
Look, to be honest, there's no need to disagree because what you boys saying is completely what I was going to say, to be honest. Look, this is basically like the Titans backline. They've got potential, but they don't show it. The only one that tries is Garrick.
Yeah. I'm going to agree with you, boys. And by the way, we will fix it up at the end. We'll be moving them. For instance, if we think Raiders over Broncos, we'll be moving them to the front of B and such stuff like that. Now, the Storm. Okay, yeah. I'm not going to say it again. But, boys, Davos, you might want to start this one because where are you putting your boys and why?
Would you have Remus Smith or Seve as your centers?
Okay, so actually yes. Here is the Storm. I've got Ryan Pappenhausen because although he didn't play too many, I think he did play more games at fullback technically. Nick Meaney, Marion Seve, Justin Olam, and Xavier Coates.
Oh, fuck! This is hard. This is actually probably my hardest one. All right, you guys are probably going to disagree with me here. Well, I'm actually going to put him. I'm going to put him as great. I'll tell you why. Because you've got your superstars. You got Justin Olam, you got Ryan Pappenhausen, and you got Xavier Coates, right? then your two players. I mean, whether you want to do Seve, yes, Seve had his struggles in defense, but like he improved as the year went on, so he got better. And Nick Meaney, yeah, he might not be that superstar player that everyone knows, but the saying that when you go to the Storm system, you become from a not well known player to a known player. That's what Nick Meaney did. He did his job week in and week out, and filled in some roles. Like he played 5'8", he played fullback, he played wing. So I'm going to put him as great.
Faraz or Lockie, up to you.
I agree with Davos. I put him in great. For me, there's only 2 clubs in this whole list that are going to be elite. There's only 2 clubs in it.
Don't say him.
No, I'm not going to say him. But, yeah. Pappenhausen, he's a gun. Nick Meaney had a solid year from where he's come from. Seve was hot and cold. Olam was hot and cold at stages, but had more good games than bad. And Xavier Coates, when he was playing, he was class. So you can't really put him elite, and you can't definitely just put him good. So for me, they're great.
Faraz.
Oh.
Yeah, look, I mean, when you got the likes of Ryan Pappenhausen, Xavier Coates, Justin Olam, Harrigan, all that, it should be a team on the league. But based on the performances, I'm gonna say great, because Barry with all those injuries that they still made the 8, managed to nearly make the top 4. Olam for me though was most disappointing. He had an off year, but Ryan Pappenhausen, when he was there, he was class. He was probably the best player in the comp. Marion Saver isn't the most lethal or like most energetic player, but he definitely improved as time went on, especially his running game. He's damn quick, I gotta say. Xavier Coates, when he was there, he was scoring a lot of tries. He was getting better. Nick Meaney, as I said, he's not your Tommy Turbo or like your Latrell, but he does the hard work. He's improved his game a lot. Melbourne definitely have helped him a lot, so I'm going to say great.
This is the first one I'm going to disagree on. I'm going to say good, but majority wins that one. The Storm go up there. I just don't think this season, I just don't think the Storm backline was up to Storm standards. I mean, it did get chopped and changed a lot, to be fair, but like based on this season, I can't put it above good. But great is where they lie. Newcastle. Well. They can just rest here while we talk about them. So for them, we've put Kalen Ponga, Edric Lee, Bradman Best, Dane Gagai, and Dominic Young. And boys, when you look at that should not be a backline.
It should not be.
That's anywhere near the bottom.
Not even close.
I agree.
But who wants to start talking about the Knights? I know Faraz loves going off about them.
Well, I think we all know how big of a loss Mitchell Pearce was, especially as a guy in number 7. Kalen Ponga, he had a lot of responsibility on his shoulders. Bering, he got injured as well. I'll say the wingers though were the most impressive things of that Knights team. Dom Young, of course, Edric Lee, and now Edric Lee's not even going to be there next year. It's going to be really tough to see how this spine gets better. Yeah, Dan Gagai for me, especially such a gun player. Didn't step up in Aldrin. I feel like he's getting washed up as the days go by, and that's not a good sign for Newcastle, as he's supposed to be one of the more experienced players. But yeah, look, it's not looking good for Newcastle, and I can't lie, but I don't see it getting any better, unfortunately. And I don't know who the halfback is next year, so yeah, good luck.
Where do you have them ranked?
Gotta say terrible. Have to say terrible.
Lockie or Davos?
I'm gonna disagree. I'm gonna have to say bad. Due to the year the Wingers had, Edric Lee, he was solid. Dominic Young had a class year. Kalen Ponga was a standout every week for Newcastle. If they didn't have him, if they didn't have him, they probably would have got the spoon. Gagai wasn't great, and Bradman Best, he's made out of glass, as Davos was telling me last night. So I'm gonna have to say bad for Newcastle because they weren't terrible, but they definitely weren't good.
Davos.
I'm gonna agree with Lockie. I would have probably put him as bad as well because, look, on paper that side looks like it should be in like bloody good or great, but the only 2 players in my opinion that played well was Edric Lee and Dominic Young because Ponga was injured. Gagai didn't have a great year on Gagai standards, and Bradman Best is just, oh my god, the bloke gets injured every bloody fucking week. So, but yeah, Dom Young was very good for them. He's a future star of this game, and Edric Lee's like I've always rated Edric Lee. He's a very consistent player. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to put him in bad.
I'm going to disagree again. I'm going to go with Faraz on here. I'm going to go terrible. I just think with the players they have, they shouldn't have. That back line is a great back line. Any team would be lucky to have that back line, but where they finished, and Dane Gagai was off all year. Ponga struggled to stay on the field. Like you said, Bradman Best struggled to stay on the field as well. Edric Lee was actually sort of in and out the side. He was one of the harder ones to pick into the team because I wasn't sure who was playing wing that week in, week out. And Dom Young was probably their best player, and that's probably the only saving grace of it. But for me, they're terrible. So, boys, we've got a split here. How are we separating this one? I have got a spin wheel up if you boys want to do it that way.
Look, I can definitely see where you and Faraz are coming from. I definitely can. I just think personally that, like obviously the only thing that saves them from being terrible is their wingers. If their wingers were shit, I completely agree with what you and Faraz are saying. I completely agree. But it's just I don't know. For me, for terrible, like every player would have had to play bad.
Yeah, and if you're putting Gold Coast bad, then you got to put them terrible with Knights.
Yeah.
Because Knights and Titans are about even, so you can't really say Knights are terrible and Gold Coast aren't. Then,
for the Titans, I had a feeling that Jaden Campbell had a good year when he was on the field. Jojo Fafita was good for the Titans. Philip Sammy was sort of not very good. Greg Marju played very well whenever he was.
But Jojo Fafita only played not even half the season, so you can't really.
He actually did really well in all the games, though. To be fair,
yeah,
all the games.
Yeah, but same as Campbell, you can't really say go off him either.
True. But even someone like Greg Marshall, he was outstanding for Gold Coast. So
I just think putting Knights terrible is a bit harsh with considering Ponga, Lee.
Yeah, fair enough.
Young.
But based on the, I think the main thing is when you base it on the year they had, finishing second last and Ponga not being on the field. I think Ponga only played something like 10 games for the Knights the whole season. So I mean, it's up to you boys. What are we thinking?
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it like that.
You reckon? Yeah, it's up to Lockie and Davos. I don't really mind. I think because I feel like that.
I just see where these boys are coming from, but like I'm also ranking it because I see there's also a future with Gold Coast in their spine. Newcastle, just like even someone like Dom Young, he had an impressive year, but he had a lot of rookie errors in him as well. So I guess that's something that separates them.
Yeah, very true. Very true. You boys fine with them being D, or do you want them moved up?
Put them C, but behind Manly.
Yeah.
C, but behind Manly.
All right. Yeah.
So a very low C then.
Very low
Warriors. C. Warriors. Okay, this one could be interesting as well. Reece Walsh, Dallin Watene-Zelezniak, Jesse Arthurs, Viliami Vailea. I'm not too sure I pronounced that right. Viliami Vailea, and Marcelo Montoya. This one also might get a bit controversial, boys. Any of you can go first. But what's your ranking on them?
Well, I've got the Warriors terrible.
Same.
Really?
Yeah. Like Reece Walsh wasn't great. Watene-Zelezniak was there basically, only scored tries. Jesse Arthurs showed up once every 2 weeks. Vailea, he's young. And Marcelo Montoya was pretty average. So you can't really put him anywhere above terrible, to be honest. They had no strike power, really.
Yeah, for me, they're only in bad. I think because feel like Reece Walsh was actually the worst out of all of them, just because of the amount of errors he had and things like that. Dallin Watene-Zelezniak week in, week out was gaining, I think, about 140 average run meters each week. Jesse Arthurs was was performing because he was out for some of the season with an injury, but when he was in, he was performing well. Vilea was doing good in his rookie season, and Montoya had he wasn't out suspended for what he said to Carl Felt. So, I mean, Faraz, you said you had them terrible, I think.
Yeah, I did.
And why is that?
I think someone like Reece Walsh, who had probably one of the rookie of the year, like candidates in 2021. He had a year from fall from grace. It's so tough because I can't really say anyone really stood up. Maybe Marcelo Montoya, but I don't know if he played enough games. I'm not sure. Uh, Jesse Arthur, he wasn't bad, but he wasn't great at the same time. Until Zelniak, he was a good individual. He scored a few tries, but that's about it. Yeah, not much to compliment there in their spine.
Now, Davos, you could be the deciding factor here.
Look, I'm going to give him terrible. This is my first terrible. I just think personally that they're just Reece Walsh. I mean, from where he went from last year, I mean, the whole cocaine thing at the start of the year just seemed to just screw him up, and you could clearly see it affected him. And obviously, Vilea is young. The one I want to add in there is Ed Cozzy. I feel like he's a young gun on the wing. But they just got no just superstar talent, to be honest, and they didn't perform great, to be honest. Like Reece Walsh just had an off year, and yeah, I'm gonna go with a terrible.
Okay, fair point. Now the Cowboys. Okay, this one's definitely going to get controversial here. I can already tell.
Oh no!
Now, I'm gonna come out straight here and say I'm gonna go elite, based on the season they had. Drinkwater. I mean, like you look at they got there. Drinkwater, Felt, Valentine Holmes, Peter Hiku, who was in the top 5 for most run meters, might add, and Murray Taulagi. I mean, for me, then anything less than great is very stupid. So for me, they're elite. But do you boys have any objections or agreements with that?
Can I go first? I go first.
Yeah.
Okay,
Just this one. Just this one.
Davis, can I just know where did you have Cowboys?
Yeah, all good.
Where do I have Cowboys?
Yeah,
elite.
where did you say you had them?
Elite. Yes.
All right. Yeah, sorry for that, Davis.
No, it's all right. No, it's all good. I agree with you. No, I'm gonna give an elite. I mean, far out. I mean, Drinkwater, he was left out of the team, and then when he came in, he was playing like his fullback has always been Drinkwater's position. He just hasn't realised it. Felt and Tuolangi just super consistent. Var Holmes, what a year from going from fullback to centre. I mean, he was probably the best centre all year besides Joey Manu and Peter Hickey. I mean, there was one game where he had like 328 run meters, I'm pretty sure. And he was just so consistent, Peter Hickey. So I'm going to give him an elite.
Yeah, I agree. There was not one person from their backline that had a bad season. Faraz or Lockie, who wants to go next?
I'll go first. Imagine I told you this in February, like the Cowboys were going to replace Hammer and put him on the bench and put Drinkwater at fullback, and they'll still make a prelim at home. I mean, it's just wonderful. Todd Payton moving Holmes from fullback to center, best thing ever for Valentine Holmes. That definitely helped him. The wingers were just sensational. Peter Hiku doesn't get a lot of credit. He was fantastic for the Cowboys. Look, I'm just impressed with the Cowboys. Murray Taulagi turned into an origin winger. I know he didn't have the best of performances, but he's currently in the Kangaroo squad. He's had a much better year. I mean, it's been such a good year for the Cowboys, especially their spine. Especially, not only are they good players, but they're fun to watch as well on their day, and they can score a lot of points. And you got to give it a like. You can't really give them anything else. They've been fantastic to watch. And as a Broncos fan, it is upsetting. I wish our players could do that, but credit to Todd Payton for turning these players into what they are today.
Okay, Lockie, best for last. I have a feeling I know what you're going to say, but let's hear it.
For me, they're great, but top of great. They're the first team in great. But the thing that puts them in great for me, Kyle Felt, yeah, he scored tries, but Tuolangi showed him up every week. And Kyle Felt is the veteran in the back line. Peter Hiku went missing at stages when they needed him, being the class as well. Holmes was probably the best in that 5 there, to be honest. Drinkwater, yeah, he was good, but he also at stages he had absolute brain phase. Like he was doing shit that was not necessary. He was trying to take the reins of the kicking when there's Townsend and Dearden there. And then Tuolungi had a class year as a young gun. So for me, Felt, Hiku, and Drinkwater, even though Drinkwater was great, they just set me back from elite if you compare them to who my other elite clubs are.
Yeah, that's fair. At the end of the day, though, 3 people saying elite, 1 person saying great. They're going to go on elite. I have a feeling they'll be back of elite once we rearrange it. But they had a great year. The Cowboys, especially the Cowboys backline.
You know what else is elite?
Eagles.
Finn Allen. Finn Allen is carving
Allen.
it together.
How much is he on? Because last time I checked, Conway left.
He just hit a 6 with one hand.
Jeez, I love Finney. Go New Zealand, by the way. Go New Zealand. For any New Zealand viewers watching, go New Zealand.
Save us, Aussies. But anyways, back to the real topic.
Yeah. Parramatta Eels. Here are the contestants, I guess. Clint Gutherson, Micah Sevo, Tom Opacek, Will Penasini, and Wonga Blake. Now, there could be some disagreements here. I have a feeling we'll all go the same, though. Who wants to go first on this one?
I'll go first one.
Any day now, boys. Any day.
I'll just cut it short. Look, when you mentioned this person as Clint Gutherson and Michael Saver, on their day, they are fantastic to watch. Michael Saver, he's one tough cookie. Clint Gutherson, when he's in open space, he is a fantastic player. Even though, yes, he is a tad inconsistent, but on his day, he is just as good as anyone. Saver is just brilliant, scoring tries, finding the corner. His defense, his attack, everything about it is it's like you just can't criticize him. On the other hand, Will Penasei, Walker Blake, I'm not as much as like enthused by those two, but they definitely have those moments for sure. But they're not as good as like Clint Gutherson and Michael Seaver. So look, this is going to be a bit of a controversial one, but I just don't believe that all of them are necessarily that good. So I'm going to put them in good because there's only really 2 standards for me.
Dave also Lockie. Take your pick, boys.
For me, they're the first in good.
That's fair.
Gutho, yeah, he's good. Sevo, he's definitely got a lot softer running back into the line. If he actually used his body size and speed and strength, he would actually break through the line a lot more. Opacek was hit and miss. Penasini, he was hit and miss. And Wonga Blake, you put a high ball up, he's going to choke. So, for me, they're the top of good.
What about you, Davos?
I've got him in the good category. Look, Gutherson is he's inconsistent, Gutherson, but he's a good fullback. Penasini, I thought actually had a pretty solid year. He's going to be a good player. Blake had his moments. Look, so they're not terrible, but they're not like elite.
Yeah, exactly. For me, I'm going to go the same. I think they were just good. And we all go the same once again. Panthers. Is there really much discussion needed?
No, they're elite. No other option.
I'll just leave that as their resting place there, boys. Does anyone really care to discuss this, or should we just move on to the Dragons?
No, it's self-explanatory, honestly.
It's common sense, eh?
Clive Churchill medalist, back-to-back premiers. Now the Dragons backline. Oh, by the way, sorry, for the Panthers, it was Dylan Edwards, Taylor May, Isaac Tungo, Stephen Crichton, and Brian Toto. They stuck with that most of the season. And for the St. George Illawarra Dragons, it's Cody Ramsey, Matthew pretty sure it's pronounced Fine, but yeah, it's very weird spelled. Moses Sully, Zach Lomax, and Tautau Moga. Not one of the prettier ones we've seen so far. What do you boys make of this?
This might cause a bit of controversy, but I'm going to put him as terrible. I reckon that. Look, I don't know. I just don't rate their backline at all. Like, you look at the name. Zach Lomax was just horrible this year. Moga was, man, he had a couple of good moments. Moses Sully was the one that was really good. He was good. Fagai, meh, and then Ramsey. He
Ramsey
was
was
good
good,
when he
though.
was in. Ramsey was very good. Ramsey was very good. But I just don't. There's just the Dragons are just like they're a boring team to watch. Like they just nothing that excites me about the Dragons besides Ben Hunt. But yeah, I put him as terrible.
Breaking news: the wicket of Finn Allen has just fell.
Oh
Oh
no!
no!
2 for
And it
28
looks like
off.
the Kiwis will be choking.
But anyway, Lockie or Faraz?
For me, Dragons. I'm going to put them in good, but I'm going to put them in between Raiders and Bulldogs. This is due to Cody Ramsey, who was fantastic in my opinion. Feagai was on and off. Sully was class. Lomax was class. And Tauta Moga in his last about 3 games was average. He wasn't great, but he wasn't.
I'm so sorry. I can't agree with Lomax being class this season.
Neither. I
think
cannot
the
agree with
Dragons
Lomax
players-
at all.
Oh no!
But it's all right.
He-
Oh, it's
he
all
was-
right.
But
He
if you look at the Dragons team, he's
No, but
probably in. He's in your top 5 for players.
not this season for me.
I would even say top.
He led the era leaderboard overall. He just a bunch of brain fades all season, like stupid
Even-
flick passes over the sideline.
Even those like flick passes he tries to do, like there's a certain try coming or there's a certain good play coming, but and every time he just does that, he even ended up like costing his team a few tries, and like he actually gave the other opposition a few tries just because of those dumb errors, and he just kept doing it and doing it. Like if you heard one play getting standard every week from the Dragon fans, it was Zach Lomax.
So, where would you have them for us?
I was actually thinking of putting them in good because like Cody Ramsey has been fantastic this year. Moses Sula is a gun standout, but I just can't put them good. That's just too high. I feel I'm going to put them in bad. I'm not going to put them in terrible because I showed a lot of glimpses throughout some players. Even Figai had his moments here and there, but
You've
I'm
got
gonna
to
go
at least
bad.
put him above the Titans, though.
oh yeah, for sure.
They can
for
be
sure.
top of bad, but
Sure.
for me, I actually think we've made a mistake. We'll go back through and correct it later, but I honestly feel like Titans and Knights should be lower. That's just my opinion. But yeah, I'm gonna go. I think they like Lomax, in my opinion, was one of the worst centers this year. He was not really up there. Sully was good. Ramsey was good. Fino was he was all right sometimes. Moga was he's just an average winger. I'm gonna go bad, but I think they're top of bad. Definitely, like they're borderline good, but I just don't really think they're that. Which means a bad, a terrible, and a good.
Yeah.
That will put them in bad anyway. Now we're down to our last 3. So for the Rabbitohs, Latrell Mitchell, Alex Johnston, Isaiah Tass, Campbell Graham, and Tane Mill. Boys, where do you have the Rabbitohs? Anyone?
Top
can
of
start.
grade.
I can see that. Davos.
I've got him in great as well. I just feel like that they've got Latrell Mitchell. There's nothing you got to say about him. He's just a fantastic player. Johnston was just consistent as always. And there's not much really else to say. I mean, the rest of their players were just super consistent. Campbell Graham, very, very good player. But yeah, top of great.
Yeah, very fair. Faraz, any objections?
I don't know how you're gonna feel about this, but I'm gonna go elite. I just feel like I just feel when the Trump Mitchell came back for the Rabbitohs, their spine just they clicked into a whole different gear. They could beat the likes of the Melbourne Storm and all those other top classes.
But you
itself
can't
is
put
so
Isaiah
good.
Tass and Tane Milne in elite.
Isaiah Cass was really good though. He did his job, especially
He
in
was.
the
Yeah,
final.
he was.
He
He averaged
but
145 meters a game, ended up scoring something like 5 tries in his 15 games he played. A bunch of
Campbell
tries.
Graham was
Johnson.
sensational this year as well. Alex
Yeah.
Johnson, of course. I feel like they have got the place for that to be an elite.
But
I
in my
generally don't know
opinion,
who didn't step up.
in my opinion, Latrell. Okay, if it was just based on Latrell, Johnston, and Graham, they're up here. But for me, they're just top of grade. They're borderline elite. It could be something that's changed around later, but for me, I just think realistically, I look at that, and I'm like, yeah, I agree with Lockie. Isaiah Tass, while I reckon he was very good for them, if they had someone else there, like for instance, if Herbie Farnworth was part of the Rabbitohs or the season that he had before injury, that's maybe elite. But yeah, based on that, yeah, not really. But the Roosters, we're down to our second last one. Tedesco, Tupou, Momirovski, Manu, and Sualiki. Now, this one might get a bit controversial, actually. Could be. Let's see. Faraz, Lachlan, or Davos, whoever wants to go first.
I'll just go first. If I've said the Rabbitohs are elite, I'm gonna have to say Roosters are elite too. Tedesco, one of the best fullbacks in the game. Joseph Manu, one of the best centers of the game. I mean, that bloke is just unstoppable. Yeah, Daniel Tupou, very much underrated. Does all the hard yards and all that. Even who was the other center?
Momirovski. Momirovski and Manu were the centers there.
Yeah, Momirovski wasn't bad, but he definitely did come back strong later in the year. Look, they definitely had the slow starts and all, but like they came back strongly and they were on that winning streak. Their spine is just as good as anyone. And I think next year with Brandon Smith, they're going to be a much tougher side to beat. I'm going to have to put them elite.
Yeah. For me, Davos, do you have any objections so far?
Elite. I've got them in
my
elite.
goodness. Lockie.
Second in elite.
I haven't got them above Cowboys this season. I don't think.
Fair.
I mean, I'm not sure about you boys, but
Easily above Cowboys.
Momirovski drags them down so much. All the Cowboys.
Well, if you're going like their main plays, you'd say Roosters. But if you're going as a whole backline, you say Cowboys.
Well,
But I'm going them third.
If you do want to take this into factor, they did play each other twice, and the Roosters spine just completely outclassed them twice. So, whichever way it works.
That is not even a question. Roosters shit on the Cowboys' backline.
I mean,
Tedesco, you're saying Drinkwater's near Tedesco. You're fucking dreaming.
No,
Daniel Tupou near Kyle Felt. You're fucking dreaming. Joey Manu next to Hiku or Valentine Holmes easily wins this year. Joseph Suwali beats Tuolangi. Momirovski loses to Hiku. There's 4 out of 5. Roosters win.
I think overall as team chemistry, I reckon Cowboys had a better year backline wise. But it's up to you boys. We'll go second. I personally have them top of grade. I don't have them elite. I think Momirovski really lets them down that in that regard. I mean, like Momirovski was he was terrible this year, and he played way more games than he probably should have. I think Suoliti was good. It was a lot more flashy plays that got him the attention he got. Tedesco was obviously the best fullback easily. Tupou, I think, while he was good, I don't think he was like the best winger this year, and I don't think he was top 3 or 4 wingers this year. And but yeah, it ends up in elite no matter what. And that leaves us with the Tigers.
Wow, this is pretty
terrible.
self-explanatory.
Save this for last.
Just put him in terrible. Yeah, just nothing else to say. Dane Laurie, I feel sorry for you, but the rest is just bloody garbage.
You feel sorry for Dane Laurie? The bloke was shit this year as well. I don't feel sorry for him.
Yeah, but at least he's got potential. At least he got potential, unlike the rest of the Tigers back.
Yeah, but
what did Mamalo do?
Like
what did Kapala do?
No, I 100% agree with you. Same like Reece Walsh. These guys, they are fantastic players. They've got better careers ahead of them, but like they didn't play that well this year, so I can't feel sorry for them.
Yeah.
Now we'll do the final rearrangements, and then we'll end off the episode. So, do you boys agree that with the S tier being Panthers, Roosters, and Cowboys?
Yep, definitely agree with that.
In that order? Do you agree with the A tier being Bunnies, Sharks, and Storm? In that order?
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, the good tier, do we want to change anything around?
I honestly
It's
would
not big-
put Raiders ahead of Broncos because of where they finished, but that's up to you.
I'd have Bulldogs ahead of both Broncos.
Yeah,
and Raiders.
I agree with Noah. I was gonna say have the Bulldogs over both Broncos. Actually, maybe not.
Nah,
Maybe not
being
Broncos.
not being biased, but you've got to have Broncos ahead of Bulldogs.
Actually, yeah, based on Selwyn Cobbo and Corey Oates.
Timo Martin.
I reckon you go Eels, you go Broncos, Bulldogs, Raiders.
You've got Herbie Farnworth, who was carving up all year. And then you've got Oates and Cobbo, which is a huge boost.
Don't forget Timo Martin.
I'm going to be honest though. I honestly think the Eels are lower than. I think the Eels are honestly third in that category. I don't think they're above Broncos and Bulldogs. I think they're above Raiders, but I don't think they're above Broncos and Bulldogs. I just think Gutherson, yeah, he's good. Sebo had a very bad year though, and like.
You reckon Sebo had a bad year?
Yeah, I don't think
he was
not
average.
good. Penasini was Obachek was just an average center, and Wonga Blake had a terrible year at the end, terrible end to his year. So I honestly think Parramatta are at the end. But it's up to you boys. Do you agree with that?
And also one thing for me is that like even with when Cobbo was out, Jordan Perra when he came in as depth, like he actually did a good job. So yeah.
Even like Dean Mariner, he did alright.
Hoyter
Swap Eels and Raiders. I reckon that's the only change.
We agree with
looks
that?
pretty good there.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Now for bad. Now, do we want to put the Titans down?
I just don't understand what is good about besides Moses Sully, right? Who the Dragons back on just like it's just boring. Like there's just no X factor.
I agree, but I
it's
feel like.
solid.
But I feel Cody Ramsey had a great year. Sully, of course, that's two of them.
And
already.
if you look at the bad list, you've got to have Dragons above all three of them.
Yeah,
100%.
I honestly still think Knights are in terrible category. I still think that.
Same.
I think they're down there with Warriors and Tigers. I think, but to be completely honest, I feel like Titans are possibly there as well. So that's where it just becomes confusing.
If you're gonna have the Knights but look at it like this though, right? The Knights, the Titans backline actually not only are they young, but they've actually got potential. Look at the Knights, right. Besides Dominic Young and Kalen Ponga, right, Gagai's like 31, Edric Lee's leaving, and then Bradman Best is legit got potential, but he's made out of glass. So I think you've got to have the Knights. I don't know. I think you've got to have the Knights.
Did Bradman Best even play that much this year, though?
Mate, it was a bloody hand injury then. But, yeah, I also think, right, with the Seagulls, besides, be completely honest, besides Garrick, who actually had a consistent year, Saab went missing, right?
Yeah, but Tuipulotu was pretty good.
He was good as well, Tuipulotu. But I just feel like, I don't know. The Broncos is an S tier.
I agree with you. Broncos S tier. I agree. So we'll just. I think we end that off there. Yeah. No. But I honestly feel like that seems fair to me. For the bad, I think Titans were just above Knights for me, and that's why I think they're just in C. Like only just by a tiny margin.
I'm gonna throw an early question at you. From that section, Broncos, Bulldogs, Eels, Raiders. Who do you think will have the best spine next year?
Broncos,
definitely the
Bulldogs.
Broncos.
As in you mean backline?
Yeah.
Well, Broncos.
It's either Bulldogs or Broncos. I'm high on the dog.
Yeah, it has to be the Broncos.
Bulldogs.
Yeah.
I think. I'm gonna go.
Bulldogs can keep a consistent back five. I think Bulldogs, but Broncos also have more star power, to be honest.
Yeah. So are we fine with C and D, or do we want anything changed around?
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Okay. Well, that should just about do us. I'll let Lockie end us off here.
So that is us for our first tier rankings video. We will be back with more. I think there's Fords and who's the other one?
Halves.
Fords and halves. There you go. So we'll be back to do two more of them. Make sure to follow the Instagram at the Final Sign Podcast, where you'll see when we are doing them. It's just hard at the moment to fit in because we're all really busy. But subscribe to the YouTube channel as well at the Final Sign Podcast, just down below where you're watching. send us a message if you've got any questions. Send us ideas on Instagram. It's been us, the Final Siren Podcast, Noah Faraz, Davos, and myself. We'll be back with another video very soon. We'll see you all then.